Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this afternoon's webinar, How to Safeguard Your Charity Financially. My name is Katrina Douglas. I am Head of Marketing here at GoodtoGive. And this afternoon, I am joined by two of our experts, Sam Rodrigo and also Carolyn Brown. Welcome to you both.
Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Katrina. Thank you. Thank you for organizing. Brilliant.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So before we get into today, for those of you who don't know who GoodtoGive, I know many of you will know who GoodtoGive is, but for those of you who don't know who we are, just a few facts about who we are, just to build on what you saw in the intro. So first of all, we have been serving faith-based organizations since 2010. The company was founded by Des and Corey Belfon in 2010. We are the UK's #1 provider of gift aid management for charities and faith-based organizations. We process and manage gift aid and accounts together. We can do that. We have over 400 charities across the UK that rely on us. We've successfully processed more than 115,000 gift aid claims. We have given back over £12.3 million to our clients, and we have been commended by HMRC. That's just a few of our accolades. So that's just a bit about us. So why are we here today, and why are charity finances so important? Well, it's three key reasons, really. And the first is that it's an essential part of stewarding a charity well, stewarding a church well. We know that, as churches and charities, your priority is, to do public good, to serve the community. But we know in order to do that, it takes finances, it takes money. So it's a core part of running a charity. And also it's a legal obligation. It's a legal obligation. And so on this webinar, you're going to hear from Sam, who is one of our charity accountants, all about the things that you need to be considering, and also from Carolyn on how our services can benefit you. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to run a poll to get us all a little bit engaged. And I want you to tell me, so I'm going to put up this poll, and I want you to tell me how many of you knew that we had an accounting service. Can you all see that on the screen? Sam and Caroline, can you see that on the screen?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. I'm going to share the numbers with you in a second. Keep bringing those answers in. I can still see the numbers changing. Okay. Going to give you a couple more seconds. We're going to end the poll and we're going to share the results. Can you all see those results?
Yeah.
That is interesting. So 57% of you knew that we had an accounting service, but 43% of you didn't know that we had an accounting service. So whether you knew that we had an accounting service or you didn't, you're definitely going to learn some things on this webinar. So do stay to the end. So what can you expect from this webinar? You're going to learn the key components of what it is of charity finances, the core components of financial management. You're going to know how we can support you financially, support the financial aspects of your church or charity, and you're going to learn what pitfalls to avoid. The format is going to be really organic. So we're going to be here as your panelists discussing the topic. There's going to be live Q&A. So if you have questions throughout, please post them in the Q&A box and we'll get to them at the end. And we're going to have some polls as well. So enjoy the information. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to post them in the question and answer box. So, Sam, let's start with you. Yes. Let's start with you as one of our resident charity accountants. Often we assume sometimes that some of the common terms like charity management, people know some of the financial terms, but we don't want to assume this on this webinar. We want to really go back to basics as well and really explain, what do we mean by charity accounting? What does that even mean, Sam?
The word itself gives it away. It's quite like a normal account, normal business. You keep record of your transactions
Yeah.
in terms of finances. And charity accounting is no different in that sense. So you got to start with your evidential supports, supporting documents, and then maintaining a proper set of books, and then end of the year preparing financial statements. And also getting those accounts examined by an independent examiner, and finally submitting them to Charity Commission, sometimes with Companies House. That's the whole process. The entire process is part of accounting.
Okay.
In simple terms.
Excellent. So essentially, it's about having an account of what your charity is doing, because sometimes when we think of, charity accounts or finances, we think of it just in terms of numbers, but actually it's about keeping a record of what your charity is doing that is illustrated in numbers, so that all stakeholders, whether that be the Charity Commission, whether that be you as charity leaders, whether that be your parishioners, donors, know what is happening in your charity. And essentially, if you don't have those numbers, if you don't have that financial story, you're not going to know what is happening in your charity. So if you just think of it as just keeping an account of what's happening in your charity financially, and it's about telling a financial story. So tell us, Sam, how does the Charity Commission expect to account for their finances? What does the Charity Commission expect?
So the main interest of Charity Commission is public interest, public good.
Yeah.
Right. So they have rules and regulations set up for charities to comply with.
Yeah.
And they expect you to do certain things in line with their directions and rules and regulations. Yeah. So they're very clear about their directions, about how you need to maintain your financial records. They want you to keep them in line with generally accepted accounting practices. And then when it comes to financial statements, there are standards. There is a statement of recommended practices. You call it FRS 102 at the moment.
Yeah.
You need to follow them when you prepare the financial statements if your charity are not incorporated. But when it comes to an incorporated charity, you get to follow different standards. So it can get really complicated. There are so many different types of charities in terms of their legal framework. Yeah. And you've got different standards to follow. And they're very, very detailed, and they're very serious about it. Then we all need to remember these are all laws.
Yeah.
They are written, and they come as directions from Charity Commission, and you're good to adhere to them and follow them. If not, you are doing something wrong. I don't want to use the word crimes, but you're breaking the law in that sense.
Okay. So
yeah, and also the trustees report, you got recommend you to you the templates and how to prepare the trustees reports and what needs to be there.
Okay.
And
right.
Also, when it comes, let me include this one as well. So the next bit is independent examination, and there are directions from CC32 from Charity Commission.
Mm-hmm.
How to appoint an independent examiner, who is an independent examiner, and what's their role is, why the independence important, and what there are certain things that independent examiners need to report directly to Charity Commission. So it's a huge direction. It's 82 pages. Most recent one was about 84 pages directives. So they keep changing, and you need to be on top of them all the time.
So it's really, hearing you say that, Sam, it's really understandable how sometimes sometimes things can fall through the net for charities, not because, they want them to, or because they're not trying to keep things together, but it's a lot to keep track of. And after all, as a charity, as a church, your priority is to take care of those frontline responsibilities. And that's one of the reasons why we kind of put this service together, because we realize that it's a lot to take on board, to keep on track of what the Charity Commission expects, to keep balls from dropping when you've got numerous volunteers to manage and all of those things. It's very easy, and which is why, you know, we've got the components and set up the service the way we have, which we'll talk about in a little while. But what can charities do? What are some practical tips, Sam, that you can give some churches and charities to maintain good accounting practices in their organizations?
And principally, in terms of, first of all, you need to change your mindset. If you exist to deliver some goods to the public, and it is very important that we follow the Charity Commission's guidelines, and sometimes companies act guidelines and recommended practices, because that enhances your ability to deliver goods.
Yeah.
So because of that, first of all, you need to place an importance to accountants, place an importance to record your transaction, place an importance to safeguard your evidential reports or receipts and invoices, supporting documents, and place an importance to bring in the right people to do the things they are capable of doing. For example, if you bring a friend or family friend or a friend of a trustee to take over your bookkeeping, and is aware of the generally accepted accounting principle to maintain your set of books. It's a legal requirement that you need to maintain your books according to GAAPs. You call it generally accepted accounting principle.
Yeah.
Anyone can think it's a simple process, but there are underneath principles that you need to adhere to. So it's important to place right people in right places. And the other thing is, get an expert help to introduce control procedures, workflows, and them sort of things will help you. When you follow those control procedures and workflows, you're literally following, you're adhering to the requirements. So, and the other thing is, just use technology around there. You know, there are loads of cool apps that you can keep your receipts intact, and you can literally send those receipts to the right people on time. If you have a bookkeeper far away from your place, they can access your receipts and do the bookkeeping online on a cloud, and the resources are there, skill is out there. You don't have to limit to your little family or your little enclosed environment. So the skill is out there, resources out there, the guidelines are very clear. All you need to do is place an importance to it, and speak to the right people, get expert help.
Absolutely. And I guess we're right here to provide that support. So Carolyn, is there anything that you can add to that in terms of what are some practical things that you would advise charities and churches to do to make sure that they are compliant and things don't slip through the net?
Okay. One of the main things that we advise the charities to do is that every penny that they receive, it must be accounted for. So we advise all charities and churches, please bank every penny that you have. That is classed as your income. We do know sometimes that, especially with the churches, they may have a visiting minister, or they may have a special service where somebody's played some music or somebody's brought flowers, and they need to pay these expenses out. We advise them, don't just take the money out of the cash that you've collected from the donations. Get the donations bank, and you can pay these people either by way of a check or a transfer, or have a petty cash or float. Whereby when you take a certain amount of money out of the bank, you know it's going into petty cash and it's accounted for the receipts. Also, anything that you pay out to anybody, even if it's just for a bunch of flowers for £5, let them sign a receipt for it. That is what is called keeping good records.
Great, really good advice, Carolyn. So, Sam, what are some key pitfalls that we see churches and charities fall into when it comes to charity accounting?
In simple terms, not having accounting records.
Mm.
Some of the practices do not have any records.
Mm.
Some of them are good, but I can see with a little help, with a little bit of tweaking, I think why this happen is because they think it's hard and it's difficult. It is not. With a little bit of help, you can put them all the things in right places. And there, like I said before, there is technology, there is skills around, and the guidelines around as well. It's just a matter of putting them all together. You can make a huge difference. So to answer to your questions directly, biggest mistake is thinking that it's hard. It is not. And all you need to do is use technology and experts and guidelines, or if you don't need to deal with any of them, speak to a right person who is capable of delivering all of them for you. So, and place an importance to it. It is very important that it is not just important, it is a legal requirement that you keep right set of accounts, prepare your financial statements at the end of the year, you prepare the trustee report and file them on time.
So, thanks, Sam.
Do not wait till the end of the last day or the deadline. You've got 10 months before you submit your accounts since your financial year is over. But also, it is really, really important that this is not just a legal obligation. This is not just to file your account just because you need to file your accounts. This will give you an insight to your organization, how good you have delivered your objectives, how good you have achieved what you said you are here to achieve. So get those accounts done on time rather than leaving to the last minute. You will know where you stand early enough so that you can do sometimes corrective measures, or perhaps that will help you being responsible for something that could happen if you do not take early actions. So the biggest mistake is not placing enough importance, and purely because of that, not doing things on time. That's what I can say in simple terms.
And I guess one of the biggest benefits of our service is that we make sure that we have a draft of your accounts at least 3 months before they're due. And so, you know, sometimes we see people that they don't have accounts on Charity Commission, or they file them late, but it doesn't seem that much of a concern. Why should a charity or an organization be concerned about filing their accounts late, even if they haven't been fined by the Charity Commission? And either of you can chime in for that question.
Yeah, let me jump in, Carolyn. You can, I know you've got loads to add on to that.
Thank you, Sam.
Let me do that first, and you can jump in.
Yeah, you know, it is important that your accounts are filed on time with the Charity Commission, no matter how small the income is. Now, a lot of people feel that they're not being fined. You know, there's no problem if it's late. But be aware that the Charity Commission is monitoring how you are filing your accounts for a start off. It also will have an effect on a charity if, let's say, you wanted to apply for funding, or you wanted to go for a loan for a building. One of the first places that anyone will go to is the Charity Commission to have a look at how much you're filing and how well you are keeping your records. If your records are constantly late, they're going to say, well, you know, these people are not very good at, you know, filing their records. It will have a detrimental effect. And also another point is your donators. What they are donating is public funds. They have a right to look on the Charity Commission to see what has been filed. And if the right things are not there, it can also have a detrimental effect and it could either lead to an investigation by the Charity Commission on the charity, or they just get closed down without warning.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so it's really good to it's really important, you know, like we said, it's about painting that financial picture of your organization.
That's
and you know, making sure it reflects what you want it to reflect. And one of the things that were really paramount for us in designing our service is that it's about helping you prepare for the future, because so often we're not thinking far ahead enough. We're thinking, what do we need to do today? It doesn't matter today, but just because it may not matter today doesn't mean that it may not matter in the future. And so our service and how we work is all about helping you prepare for the future, whether you want to buy a building, whether you want to buy a fleet of vans, whether you want to start up a nursery, or any other nonprofit associated with your organization. Making sure that you have this accurate and good and well thought out financial picture is very important. And that lends itself to the fact that, you know, when we said that financial management and charity accounting wasn't just about the numbers, one of the things that we do for our clients is have a statement in the accounts where it actually demonstrates what you're doing practically in the community, how you're having an impact. So your accounting isn't just about the numbers. That's a key part, but it's about so much more than that. It's about preparing you for the future. And I think that's the difference between how we work as an organization that has worked with charities and churches for over a decade compared to other accountants. You're going from a very generalist approach with, you know, maybe service providers do not have that same level of experience, to a very specialist level of service with all the support. And I know one of the things that you've mentioned in the past, Sam, is that typically with an accounting service, you'll talk to your accountant once a year, you know, and we're going into the service now. But Carolyn, you know, you can testify that we support our clients. Sometimes we will speak to them as often as we need to make sure that we're getting the information needed.
Yeah, that's correct. Like you stipulated, with regular accountants, you get your statements together at the end of the year, you get the receipts together that you can find, you give them to the accountant, you may have 1 or 2 conversations with them, and that's it. At GoodtoGive, you talk to us 24/7. We are there every day. Yes, we do your accounts on an annual basis, but we are there throughout the year to receive information from you, to answer questions, to guide you in any way that we can, and technically just hold your hand to get you through the process.
Absolutely. And so we're going to show you a video about the accounting service. But before we do that, Carolyn, can you give us, you know, a real concrete example about how we've supported a charity that's found themselves in not such a great situation and how we've helped them turn it around?
Okay, so recently we've had a charity that has come to us. They wanted to claim gift aid, which is something else that we do. But unfortunately, when we looked at their account status on Charity Commission, every year was 0 for the last 6 years. Now, they didn't have an understanding of why that was. They had asked somebody to do it. As we spoke before, the person was a new trustee who had HMRC filing experience, but had no experience with charity filing. She assumed that, you know what, they don't pay tax, so they don't need to record any information. And of course, this now has a detrimental effect on the charity because they cannot claim gift aid. So what we have done is we've used our name and we've wrote a kind of polite but begging email to the Charity Commission, asking them, you know, for permission, can we refile these accounts? Yesterday, I got a response back from the Charity Commission. And although they are pushing the point that, you know, trustees must be aware of what is happening, they've agreed to let us get information from the client and file 6 years of accounts.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that will be recorded eventually, and that will help them regarding the claiming of gift aid. If we had a push for that, you know, there's a possibility that if somebody had, let's say, if I had donated to that charity and I looked there and I saw they're saying there's no income recorded, but I'm giving you my money, I could have raised a complaint and they could have been subject to an inquiry by the Charity Commission.
Exactly.
But hopefully we've negated that and we're going to help them now get this sorted.
Absolutely. That's great. And I think, I really wanted Carolyn to tell that story because it really demonstrates the difference that working with us can make, because we have that relationship with HMRC, with Charity Commission. So, and the fact that we also do gift aid as well, all of those things are added value and differentiators and really make a difference to our clients. So thanks for that, Carolyn. And so I'm just going to show you a video that gives an overview of our accounting service. Can you all see
Charities
this?
are constantly under scrutiny from regulators and required to keep accurate records of accounts. This means that you must be audit ready at all times with up-to-date and transparent financial records. Failure to meet these requirements can have a detrimental impact on your organization and the people running it. Good financial governance is paramount. You need a service provider that not only understands the regulations, but understands your organization's culture and can help you succeed over the long term. GoodtoGive is that service provider. We've been working with ethnic minority faith-based organizations from across the world for over a decade, saving them money and increasing their income. Our clients trust us because we don't just understand financial regulations, we deeply understand the community we serve and have a long track record of reliability. Introducing the GoodtoGive Accounting Service, your trusted partner for all your accounting needs. This service includes statutory filings, document storage and management, transparent reporting, course correction to address anything that isn't compliant, ongoing advice and support. When you join GoodtoGive, we assess your requirements and offer a tailored solution. You are set up with a document scanner. We train your team on all aspects of the process. We manage all your bank statements and receipts. We submit your statutory filings on time. You are kept up to date throughout via our Service Delivery Monitor. Service Delivery Monitor is a project milestone and reporting system that provides complete transparency throughout the process, ensuring that all parties are kept accountable and informed. We manage the entire accounting process for you so that you can focus on the work that matters most. For more information, please download our accounting service fact sheet or visit.
So hopefully that gives you more of an idea of how our service works, and what you can expect from us. So Carolyn, can you talk us through how does the actual service work? What can people expect when they work with us?
Right. So Sam touched briefly on the word workflow. We have now got a new workflow that we're putting into place and we're currently trialing that will allow charities to, as they get their statements in, scan it, drop it into our section. It's as you get your receipts on a weekly basis, you can just scan them and drop them in. And it saves the charities from, at the end of the year, having to now find their statements, find all the receipts. You know, we know that the ministers and people are very busy and sometimes receipts can go missing, they can't find them. So we're now hoping to get everybody used to our system where they can file everything as they go along. Also, the system, they will be able to see everything that they put on there at a later date. And again, this will be beneficial to them because we know once they send things, they can be put in an envelope, put in a drawer, can't find something if you've got a quiet query later on. Everything will be on our system of which they will have access to.
Great. So we help, and just to reiterate that, we help you plan for your organization's financial future and we streamline the process for you. You would have seen this in the document, in the video that we just saw, but just to reiterate, these are the components that we offer. So bookkeeping, payroll, our service delivery management process that Carolyn just spoke about, starter leaver admin, workplace pensions, payee registration, and you can select the ones that are most beneficial to you. So Carolyn, let's talk about the benefits. Of this service.
Let me jump in there. I think the benefit, actually you mentioned that a while ago as well. Benefit will be you have an accountant 24/7 compared to talking to an accountant once a year.
Yeah.
And that is also 10 months later. So now you have an accountant dedicated. You can talk to them like 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And your receipts and documents will be kept in the cloud, saved securely. You can access them, your accountants can access them. And if you want another person to access them, we can even provide those access so that you can have a bookkeeper somewhere else. You can do the books, but we can hold your receipts. So we are very flexible and always approachable. And the biggest contrast is, this is something you thought you would be doing once a year, 10 months late than what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Now you can do that on a daily basis, regular basis, and you can access your records on a regular basis.
Okay.
That also enables, Katrina, for us to make them the funding ready. If they need us to do a business plan, we have information. If they want us to do management accounting reports, we can.
Yeah.
And that opens, being ready and making your receipts, bank statements and things available on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Makes loads, opens doors for loads of things, loads of possibilities. And if you need to buy the church that you want to, or get a freehold or extend a lease, or buy a hall that you normally rent and pay.
Yeah.
And we can help. Having a system like this would open doors for that sort of things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So is there anything that you'd like to add, Carolyn?
Well, just to add to what Sam said, I can see something there, that we ensure that you are compliant and you have the right controls in place.
Yeah.
And although we are a professional organization, we are run like a little family. So we will hold your hand and guide you. And you can always talk to us, like Sam said, at any time if you have a problems.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
another thing that I would like to stress on what Sam says, we don't wait until the 10 months period. We always try and have your accounts ready within 3 months.
Okay. And I can see also that we have questions. So please continue to post them, and we'll get to them when we get to that part of the webinar at the end. So there's some. Let's address the issue that we spoke about having friends and family do accounts, because we know it can be a difficult conversation. If you have friend, family, even an accountant that has qualifications, but you have a good relationship with them, you may be realizing that actually there's things that aren't quite right. Why would we encourage people to have that conversation, even if it's difficult? Let's talk about the importance of independence, Sam.
The number one is it is important. It's not important. It's a legal requirement that your independent examiner is independent. He's not a part of the day-to-day administration. He's not connected to trustees. He's not one of the major donors. So it's clearly explained in Charity Commission's directions. The importance is important, and it's a requirement. Yeah. So you stay compliant by not having a related person as your independent examiner. And the other thing is the skills.
Yeah.
And the legal framework and standards and the recommended practices, they keep changing.
Yeah.
So if you have a person who is capable of keeping a tab of all of that and give you a free service, and still you have that independence in question. So, and I would rather place all my headaches to one expert and pay a small fee and bring a good reputation to my set of accounts. And then again, when you file your accounts on time and your independence examiner's name goes on there on the report, and the fact that it is from a reputed place, a known place like Good2Give, adds so much value to it, especially when you go and to go and get funding, or your donors, when they look at your set of accounts at Companies House or with Charity Commission. That gives so much credibility to your set of accounts.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so I'm going to dive into some of the questions that we have here, and please continue to post your questions into the chat. So someone's asking, what about money that is given out as a gift? How do you receipt for that? How do you account for that, I guess? Yeah, Sam.
Yeah, that's the gifts needs to be in line with your so all these things comes down to one criteria called materiality. Okay, so if your charitable organization has only 25,000 for the whole year as income or coming in, and if your gift is 20,000, the materiality is huge, significance is huge, right? Then you need to place your attention towards your governing document or the objectives of your charity.
Yeah.
So if you collect £25,000 per year, and if you gift 20,000 to some person, one person, would that be in line with your charitable objective? If it is not, you're not doing the right thing. So there is a right and wrong issue, and recording is not going to be a very difficult thing. There is a right and wrong thing that you need to look at as well. So reporting wise, if it is a small gift, yes, of course, get a valid receipt. If you let's say if you give to a person and get them to sign and say the purpose of the gift or the reason of that, and get them to sign, and depending on the materiality, you need to use due diligence. Perhaps if you are giving a huge amount of money, perhaps take some sort of a proof of address and proof of documents from them, just to say that you have actually given it to a genuine person, and their signature, and that will be valid enough evidential support. Reporting will be as a charitable gift.
Okay, so what, some people may be listening and thinking maybe they've given out gift money as a gift and haven't accounted for it in the correct way. So what can they do? What can they do?
From the point of view of an independent examiner, they would ask explanations.
Okay.
And if the gift is like 0.1% of significance, and they wouldn't question it, and depending on the significance of the materiality of it, they would not need some explanation, they would need some proofs, they would need to speak to trustees perhaps.
Yeah.
So, and if they're not satisfied with it, they might end up qualifying the accounts.
Okay. So, and also, what is the difference? Because we see this come up quite often. What is the difference between qualified and unqualified accounts?
Yeah, qualified, I mean, in general terms, qualifying something is good, not qualifying something is bad.
Yeah.
But in your accounts, in your independence examiner's report, there is no harm done. So we say you have nothing wrong to report. That's unqualified opinion.
Okay.
And that's good.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong to say, right? Your qualifying means an accountant, auditor, especially we use these terms in audit, statutory audits. You give them a qualifying, unqualified opinion. That means there is nothing wrong. It's okay. It's good. And qualifying means there are things that we can't say. It's done in line with. There is a breach of law. They're not in line with the charities' constitutions. They're not in compliance with charity commissions or companies' Act's provisions, or there is a misdemeanor.
Okay.
So if you state that in the report, that's a qualifying report. That
Okay.
is bad.
Okay. Okay. So, Priscilla, I hope that answers your question. Do let us know in the chat box. The next question is from Pastor Sola Dawkins. So, is this service an additional cost to the annual accounts or filing? Carolyn, can you answer that? It's an all-encompassing service, isn't it? Everything that we're talking about is an all-encompassing. This is all added value stuff that we offer as part of the service. And I'll let you take that away, Carolyn.
Yeah, hi, right. So no, there's no extra cost for that service. This is all part of the accounting service. So the fee that you're quoted will encompass everything that we're talking about here.
That's including gift aid claims as well, or?
No, gift aid claiming is a different service.
Different
This is just strictly the accounting service.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Carolyn. So what
and
is
also, Catherine, we can tell them to email these questions. They want further explanations. If they can email it to us, we can probably.
Absolutely, and one of our charity advisors will be calling each of you after this webinar. So what is the cost of the service per year, bearing in mind some of the churches are very small? So I'm going to show you, we'll provide a quote for this, but we totally understand that, and so we've made this affordable for churches. But what we can do so that we offer you like a quote that is tailored to what you need, you can submit a query, and I'll send you the link to it in the chat shortly, and you can get a quote. And like I said, when you speak to a member of our team, they'll also provide a quote for you based on what your charity needs. Do you provide budgets and funds flow statements to help match forthcoming expenditure against income, so we ensure we put aside enough money to meet expenditure? Carolyn, could you provide some insights on that?
Yeah, we can provide anything that the client requires. At the moment, our accounting service is just one cost, but if there's something that's going to go outside of that, we will look at it, discuss it with them, and see if an extra cost will be needed. Yeah. Depending on how much detail they require.
Okay, great. Thank you, Carolyn.
That's okay.
And we have a question here. So, can my husband, who is the senior pastor, be a trustee and still get paid? Should this be disclosed in the accounts? Sam?
Yeah, it should be disclosed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but can he still get paid as a trustee and a pastor?
I would add that as a trustee, if he's getting paid, then that decision has to be made by the other trustees at a meeting at which he cannot attend.
Okay. Okay.
And it has to be written down in minutes.
Okay. So someone else says, thank you for this great seminar. You're very, very welcome. It's our pleasure. Much food for thought. When you say that we should record accounting transactions, should we be doing this through an accounting package, or is a spreadsheet good enough? Sam?
How you do it is not very important. It just, I mean, whether it's computer-based or manual accounting software, it doesn't matter. Accounting software is very cheap these days, and we even provide, not right now, I think, Caroline, but we in the future we will be providing QuickBooks, cash flows, and Zero, that sort of accounting packages, plus receipt bank, mobile applications. They're in pipeline to come. They will come, so they will provide them. So if they can use a accounting package, it's brilliant. And depending on the size of the organization, Excel will be enough, or even there are great manual books still going good with some of the businesses. They can use them. A problem with Excel is you need to know, you need to use a little bit of skill to maintain them correctly. But if you're using a booklet, designed book, cash books, cash registers, income books, that is outlined and you can't go wrong with them, that's great. But I would say, number one, a cloud accounting solution. Number two, registers. Number three, Excel.
So what I'm going to say, Sam, is I'm going to say that when you take on this service, we take care of that stuff for you. The whole point is that you don't have to hurt your head with Excel spreadsheets, with any of that stuff, because you're giving it to us. So that question wouldn't even be, if you were a client of ours and we were doing your accounts, that question you wouldn't need to worry about that, because we take care of it.
We have this, when we develop this STM, to the extent that we give away accounting packages and mobile applications, all they need to do, they don't even need to go to the photocopy machine to scan them. Your mobile apps, as and when, let's say you go to the petrol station and fill your car, just as soon as you get into the receipt, you just take a picture of that. That will be in our system. And there will be someone accounting for them in a cloud accounting version. You can see them later.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Carolyn, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I think Sam's covered the whole one there.
Absolutely. Okay. So we sometimes give. Okay, Priscilla's saying that does answer her question. That's great, Priscilla. Was really trying to know how to speak to that. Okay. How do you also help live music ventures that apply for grants to the Arts Council Music Venture? So whoever answered that, unfortunately, that's not something we would support with, helping with a live music venture to apply for grants. But if you ever did get that up and running and it was charity and you needed us to do your accounts, your gift aid, we could absolutely help with that side of things. Okay, so can you please talk a bit about the authorization of expenses, i.e. how many people should sign? Should we have a policy? Sam?
I would say 100%. This is why I said control procedures. They help you grow, they help you keep compliant, and they reduce lots of headaches. And first of all, how these, I think the question is about how many authorizations you need. It depends on the procedure you list down. First of all, set up a control procedure and write it down and incorporate that into your governing document, saying that you can have a section about payment authorization, and anything under £1,000, 2 people can sign. What are those 2 people? Accountant and assistant accountant. And anything above that, up to 5,000, we need 1 trustee signature plus accountant. Things like that, you need to specify them in your procedure and date and number that procedure and incorporate that into the constitution, and keep changing whenever, as and when you improve. So that would be a great way to, there is no standard amount of authorization. It's just what you set up, but set up that process and then adhere to that. Okay, great. I hope that answers your question. So Clement, we are buying a property worth 500,000 with a mortgage. VAT is charged on the property. As a charity organization that is not VAT registered and has no taxable supply, how do we handle this? You cannot claim that. Sorry, say that again, Sam? You cannot claim that VAT. Okay, so VAT is there's no way to get around that. Okay, there's no way to get around that, so they just can't claim the VAT. That's part of the cost, yes. Okay, okay. So there are a few church accounting software packages for UK churches out there. Is there any particular one we would recommend? Does anyone want to answer that? I mean, there are no proprietary charity accounting softwares, sadly, because I don't know why. There are so many charities, but there are no accounting software specifically for that sector. But I think if you use something like QuickBooks, Sage Cloud version, or any of those cloud versions, they will ask you the type of your organization, and then you can choose charities in there. and then they will prepare their the arrangements will be in compliance with the charity. So example, they will not tell you profit and loss account, they will not tell you gross profit like in a construction industry. They will have proper for statement of financial activities, and they will say income and expenditure report. So they will be in line with charities standard statement of recommended practices, but not 100%, but the formats will be like that. And that will be good enough, but you need an accountant's touch finally before you submit it. But that will be so much close to it.
Absolutely. So once again, with our accounting process, we provide that kind of support for the journey so that you can see what's happening. Your accounts are processed in time. At any point, you'll know where your charity is because we're helping you prepare for the future. And before I show you our accounting services page and give you a bit more information about
before you jump into that, let me add this as well to the same question. Sure, so under our wings, when we provide accounting software as well, right? So let's say it's not our own accounting software, we got partnerships with Xero, QuickBooks, Sage, Receipt banks. So if someone is with us, depending on the package, we can perhaps offer them accounting packages free of charge or much at a very lesser price to the market. The same packages, because we have a huge number of subscriptions, we get at a better price, so we can pass that to our charities, our members.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. So lots of benefits there of working with GoodtoGive and utilizing our accounting service. So one more question, in fact. So can bank charge interest on charity money kept within the bank? If yes, why? That's a question for you, Sam.
Charge, probably they're charging not interest. So no one can charge interest for keeping money. They should pay you interest if you're holding a savings account, and some current accounts also pay interest, but they probably charge you bank fees, commissions. Every time some money comes into the bank has processing fees, charges. They probably charge commissions and handling fees and charges, not interest.
Okay.
But if they provide a overdraft facility, and that's even though you're not using it, if that is incorporated in your facility, they can charge you interest.
Okay, thank you, Sam. So we have a question from Jarvis. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but thank you guys for this great presentation. You are more than welcome. If we were to move across for GoodtoGive to do our accounts, can you please talk about your onboarding process and how do we leave gracefully from our other accountants? That is a brilliant question. So Carolyn, I'll give that one to you.
Yeah, okay, thanks Katrina. Well, first of all, one of our team would speak to you and you could give us all your details. We'll talk to you about what's been happening before, who your accountant is, that sort of thing. There is a letter, a standard letter that we would write to your accountant, and it would just set out, that you've asked us to take us on board, and it would request certain information. Now, it would depend on the relationship that you've got with your current accountant. It may be someone who is professional, you only know them, that you speak to them once a year, so it's not going to be that bad. But if it's somebody that you've got that personal relationship with, then that's something that might be a little bit tougher for you to deal with, because you'll have to explain to them, as to why you want to move away from them. But if there's any help that we can give, like I said, we are here to help you and hold your hand all the way. And once you come over to us, we will explain all the processes and how things will work with you. I mean, there's something that I'd like to add, just in saying that the mobile app and software that GoodtoGive has provided, that is exclusive to GoodtoGive, and it is the only one at the moment set up specifically for churches with their accounting, churches and charities accounting.
Yeah.
But when you come across to us, you're going to be working with a good team.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is that culture of, you know, we're a business, we're professional, but we genuinely care about your organization. And so we're going to support you in the transition and with those relationships.
Katrina, let me add one little thing to that smooth transition. And if you are currently using a practicing accountant or qualified accountant, and if you are willing to come to us, all you need to do is drop an email, not a nasty one, drop an email explaining why, and then we, as a practice, because our ethical standards with our institutes, we got to write to them asking professional clearance. So they are obliged to comply to those. So when we ask, please give us last year's accounts, let us explain where you stopped with them, have you got any ongoing investigation or inquiries, they are meant to hand over them to the oncoming accountant, and they have to comply with that, and every practicing accountant would do that without any hesitation, because that is one of those ethics that they obliged to comply with.
Thank you for that, Sam. Jarvis, does that answer your question? You just let me know in the chat, that would be great. And so I'm just going to put up a poll before I take you to our accounting page. And I would like to know how many of you are interested in our account service and would be interested in getting a quote about the service. So I'm going to launch that. Can you all see that? Excellent. Keep those coming. I can see those coming through. Fantastic, fantastic. So we can see those numbers. I'm going to share those results. So 75% of you said you're interested in getting a quote. That is fantastic. So, and there's over 40 of you on the call. So we will be in touch. A member of one of our charity advisors will be in touch to give you more information. If you want to contact us before you get that call, I'm going to show you our webpage. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it in the chat. I'm going to post it so that you can all see. That's to everyone. You can go to that link. So if you all go to that link that I've showed on the screen now, not on the screen, in the chat. So if you all go to the chat, you'll see a link in the chat, and you can go to that link, and I'm going to show that page, and I can see that I have a few more questions. So I'm going to come to those as well.
Katrina, can I just quickly add something?
Sure.
Right, just to let everyone know that should you decide to come over to GoodtoGive, you know, once you've gone through the sign-up process, you'll be handed over to myself and my team. And just quickly, you know, the workflow that we run, you will get training on it, how to use it. Like I said, we'll be there to hold your hands through the whole process. Give us a call at any time. And, excuse me, yeah, you'll get full training on it, like I said. I'm trying to think. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Yeah, no, that's good, Carolyn.
Yeah,
so
no, you get full
training and support, and you know, it's a really streamlined process. Carolyn.
Right. And you will get reminders from the system as well. Oops, sorry, I've lost myself. Okay. Yeah. You'll get reminders from the system, you know, as to what is needed from you. Likewise, we will get it as well.
Absolutely.
Something like Katrina said, it is something that is streamlined and will work very smoothly.
Absolutely. So glad that helped. Jarvis says, lovely, thanks. That is very clear. Glad that answered your question about onboarding. Clement has a question. Please, are you able to process online donations? If you are, how do we incorporate that into your service? Carolyn?
Yes, we can do online donations, not a problem. We also have a GoodtoGive mobile app at which we could get you registered for, signed up, and you'll be able to collect donations that way. But give us a call and we'll go through that with you.
Great. And Shirley is saying she is already an accounting customer. We love that, Shirley. I'm always glad to have our clients on these webinars. Glad to have you. So thank you all for your time. I hope you found this really valuable. We are here to help. We wanted to give you a glimpse of who we are, our team, and this new service. What I'll also say is this is one of a number of webinars that we're having on this topic. Our next one takes place on the 1st of September, and it's really going to be more about compliance and trustee responsibilities. So do look out for an email on that. But before we go, like I said, I wanted to show you and just talk you briefly through our accounting landing page and where you can add your details to get a quote. You can submit that to us immediately. So one of our charity advisors will be in touch, but if you just want to, 75% of you said you wanted a quote. So if you want to submit your information now, you can go ahead and do that. So bear with me a second and I will just share this with you so that you can see this page. And like I said, that link is in the comments. So you can see, you can also get to this from our website, just this page along the top. And you can see we are ensuring your faith-based charity has a bright financial future. And that's what this is about, ensuring that you have a bright financial future. If you want a recap of that video that I played earlier, that is also on this page. A reminder of all the elements that are included are here as well. And here on the right-hand side is your form to request a quote, and that will come straight through to us. And you can also, here you can see, you can select the elements that you are interested in. So bookkeeping, payroll, starter leaver, payee registration, workplace pensions, all the information about the service that we have spoken about today is on this page, and that is in the chat box. I do see some of you raising hands, so if you do have further questions, please put them in the Q&A or the chat box so we can see those. Okay. All right, so we have another question. We are a bit over time, but we're still going to answer these questions for you. So how easy is it to get a mortgage for a property from financial organizations? We lost property in 2014 because bank refused us mortgage. So Sam, could you speak about that, please?
It is like any other mortgage, any other property. Charity is no different. All you need to prove is that you will be able to pay off the mortgage by proving that you're financial past. So I would say I'm not mortgage expert, but I would assume that if you have sound set of accounts for the last 3 years, and if you have a surplus to afford the deposit, and you have an accumulated surplus to pay for a deposit and an ongoing surplus to pay the regular mortgage, there shouldn't be any problem.
Okay, and again, one of the things that our key focus is helping you prepare for the financial future. So if you say to us that that's what you're aiming for, you want to purchase a property, we will be helping you plan and prepare.
And we will liaise with mortgage advisors for them, and we will talk to them in the language that they understand on behalf of you.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another question. How do I change my limited company to a charity company?
Oh, Carolyn can do that in 5 seconds, I think.
Thank you, Sam. You'd have to create a new document. There is a new document out there called a CIO, and there's certain privileges that you have with a limited company that a charity does not have at the moment. If you go to a CIO, it will give you some of those privileges. One of those being that the trustees are no longer liable for any responsibilities. As a limited company, your directors will be liable for any financial losses, but under a CIO, your trustees will not be liable. And this is something that we are recommended to our charity clients, that they go on board as a CIO.
Yeah, CIO is the latest vehicle that you use, because that will have the, you don't have, say if you are a limited liability company, you're good to comply with Companies Act requirements and charity commissions requirements as well. But if you are a CIO, trustees' liability is limited, but it doesn't have to comply with Companies Act requirements. You only need to comply with charity commissions, just one boss, but you have the benefit of being limited as well, part of it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sam. And then I have, what is the difference between PAYE and payroll?
PAYE is the tax, pay as you earn is the name of the tax, income tax that you deduct from employee to pay people, staff members. Payroll is the whole process.
Okay.
Whole process of issuing a payslip to the employees and deducting that right taxes and paying them on time to HMRC. And when they leave, issue them a P45. When at the end of the year, you need to give them a P60 and file monthly. The payrolls are very complicated. I mean, it's not complicated. It's very regulated and transparent. You got to adhere to this real-time information regime. That means when you issue a payslip, that's get recorded in HMRC instantly. So if you pay an employee with £100 PAY deduction, HMRC knows the minute you issue the payslip that you should pay £100 HMRC on behalf of that staff member. So that whole process is called payroll. We do that. We offer that service. PAY is the name of the tax.
Okay.
Like national insurance.
Great. Thank you, Sam. And Golahan has said that he would like to change his company to a charity immediately. And you said that you will contact Monique. That is absolutely fine. She will absolutely be able to help you and advise accordingly. So do we have any questions? Last chance for any questions before we sign off. Last chance for any questions. It has been an absolute pleasure. Please look out for future events and webinars. And yes, do get on board, get a quote for us, go to that page. And if you have any questions, our team is always here to help. Have a phenomenal rest of the day, great weekend, and we hope to speak to you soon. Thank you very much for attending. Sam, Carolyn, any final words?
We look forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.